Hello, everyone, and welcome to the session. Here comes a digital assistant to rescue us in the corporate world. I'm going to be covering this topic, and this is going to be um, one of many presentations at the APAC Oracle user community, um, and thank you for the invitation. My name is Gustavo Gonzalez. I am an Oracle SaaS director with the specialty in applications. I have 20 more years of experience in Oracle applications and Oracle technology in general. I'm a chief technology officer at IT Convergence. I've been working with this company since 2006. Um, and I've been co-authoring books and doing presentation across the globe as part of the Oracle ACE program, as well as presenting with customer stories of IT convergence. I'm very involved in the user community as I'm the former president of the Latin America Oracle user community, as well as one of the founders and board members of the Argentina Oracle user group. Um, it's very important to participate in the user communities because that's giving the value, an extra value to your professional career and to your company or the organization that you work for. So that's, for us, it's good to participate. And even as presenter, we are always learning. And when you got into a customer situation, it's very important to learn. There's a lot of material around the globe, uh, but special with these few selected people which are recognized by Oracle because of their quality of the material that they present. As I said, I work for a company called IT Convergence, where we have 600 plus customers around the world, more than 600 employees. We have an office in China, in Asia Pacific. We have an office in China, an office in Singapore. We have been delivering projects across Asia Pacific. I'm based out of Argentina, um, where I'm speaking now. Due to the pandemic, unfortunately, I can. I've been traveling the world, but this during the last 8 months, I've been sitting at home, working from home, globally, and we have an office here in Argentina and an office in Hyderabad, India. Our headquarters is in Dallas, and we specialize on global implementations, global um, consulting, development, and managed services. Uh, the company has been recognized by Gartner in the Magic Quadrants for global Oracle Cloud application services, um, and that's in a nutshell what we do. Now I'm gonna switch gears a little bit here and talk about the product, okay, and talk about what we think about the chatbots and the digital assistants. So let's start with these chatbots, okay, and this is from Gartner, that it says that chatbots will replace mobile applications, okay, but this is probably now, this is just 2 years ago, and this is now um, kind of old. Now let me start with this question, which is how users are asking for information in a corporate world today. And I'm going to switch gears, and this is Oracle Fusion applications. But this same technology can apply to eBusiness Suite, JD Edwards, PeopleSoft, any applications unlimited. And here, I'm gonna see, if a user wants to ask for information, well, you can, hey, okay, I'm gonna check for my salary, right? So I'm gonna be clicking here on doing multiple clicks, right? And checking and drilling down to the compensation, right? Now, there's another option today, okay? One is navigating, but there's another option today, which is just something that it's here, which is a digital assistant. that it's embedded in the application, and it also say, hello Richard, how are you today? And say, I want to know my salary. Okay, and the digital assistant will check and will automatically answer what I was looking for, right? All these clicks that I've been doing to navigate to that, it's something that with a question to a digital assistant, the digital assistant can answer to me. Now, and this is how we see and we envision how the users will be asking questions. And this is from Steve Miranda, who is the Vice President of Application. And it's a very, very important, statement he made, saying that, what we see, the HTML pages that we see are going to be soon becoming the old user interface. Now everything will be through a digital assistant. And to make it even more important, that Gartner in the research of workplace in 2019, they said that by 2022, 70% of white collar workers will interact with conversational platforms on a daily basis. As a matter of fact, today we're following instructions of our GPS without any contradiction or hesitating about it. Now, I brought the terminology of chatbots, and I also brought the terminology of digital assistants, okay? And the digital assistant, we'll see the difference in the next slide, but the digital assistant is an artificial intelligence driven interface, helping to accomplish tasks in natural language conversation. And that is, that sentence, that question that I put into that digital assistant asking for corporate information. Again, we're very familiar with the websites and you want to buy this product, but here is for corporate information, asking corporate questions, and you can even take actions on multiple things. Now, a digital assistant um, consists of one and many skills, and those skills are what we are going to be seeing, in a few minutes. How you navigate and how you can test the skills and can you play with the skills. Okay, so in a nutshell, digital assistants, okay, are a combination. Okay, it's a multi-purpose and can be bot initiated, where chatbots or skills are single purpose user initiated, right? So that's the difference between a chatbot and a digital assistant. Now, in the chatbots, the artificial intelligence, it's used for understanding the conversations, while in the digital assistants, it uses for predictions and recommendations. Okay, so that's the difference between those, right? Now, if we talk about Oracle Digital Assistant, okay, we're going to see 4 different features, very cool features, very important features that will make your life easier in terms of how to interact and how to build this new UI. We have bot initiated interactions. Typically, the bots that are um, um, proactively, engaging and getting you into to take actions. These multi-purpose skills with the instant apps. Okay. Another feature is no code development, visual development, Q&A builder. We're going to touch base on those and how you can, develop a chatbot in a visual developer, or upload a set of questions and answers and build that. Very useful today for COVID. And then another feature, which is the insight. And we're going to talk about why it's so important, the analytics in that space, in the learning how the users are working, how the users are navigating through the digital assistants. Now, we're going to talk about these components of the digital assistants, and these are the components of the Oracle digital assistants. It's important to learn that there are many digital assistants architectures and companies around the world that are offering very similar. We're going to be focusing on Oracle digital assistants, and at the end, I will conclude on why we consider, or why I consider that Oracle digital assistants are different from others. Now we have the skills, and these skills are individual chatbots. One feature is that they are reusable, very important. The conversational artificial intelligence and machine learning, that is what is going to make the difference. Okay, how you can interact, how the tool can understand in NPL, and we're going to see natural language processing, how that they can match what the users are entering or writing, right, or talking. You're talking about voice today. And how that will match with the different aspects on how the digital assistant needs to answer that. And then the skills works with any messenger. We'll talk about that in the next component. Digital assistants, it's a master bot, right? So what it does, it's consolidate and invoke the skills. So it's the one that routes, based on understanding, routes where to go. Then we have the channels, okay? And the channels is how you connect with, the different ways to interact with the digital assistants. We have Microsoft Teams. You can connect and create channels to Microsoft Teams, Slack, Facebook Messenger, and so forth. So there are many ways. Now, the beauty of that is that you don't have to rewrite the code. You just plug in the channels, and the same digital assistant, the same skills will work with all these different channels. And then we have the last component, which is the store. And it's a bot store. It's like an app store that has bots for multiple solutions, and also it includes the bots for Oracle SaaS. So those are pre-built. So that example that I show you, it's something that it's built in the store, and you can plug in from the store. Now, let me show you a little bit about Oracle Digital Assistant skills, okay? And what are the different components within the skill of a digital assistant. Now, all this is the lingo that you need to learn. This is the lingo of, and any other tool will use the same lingo. Okay, that's the format of how you build, how you code digital assistants. Okay, and we're gonna go one by one. Okay, we're gonna talk about intents, entities, and components, and how a dialog flow creates all the magic, and how you can plug in channels, build an instance app, and navigate through Q&A and build a Q&A. Now, let me start with the first concept, which is an utterance. Okay, so an utterance, in the case that I show you, it's anything that you say to the chatbot, whether it's voice or type. So for example, I would type, I want to book a flight to Delhi. Okay, the entire sentence, or what is my salary, right? The entire sentence is what is called the utterance. Now, Within the utterance, okay, there is an intent, and that's what the user, what I'm intending to ask, okay, and that is, in the example is that, if I want to say I want to book a flight to Delhi, okay, that's the user intent to retrieve all the flights, right? I want to get a list of flights to Delhi, right? So these intents are given a name, okay? Often, it is often, and we'll see a few examples, but it's often a verb or a noun, such as show flights. And that's the intent, okay? It's a very important concept. Now, with the intent, we're going to talk about an entity. And an entity is what modifies an intent. For example, if I type, I want to book a flight to Delhi, okay, the entities are flight and Delhi, okay? And these entities are given a name, such as, flight booking, sometimes are referred to slots, okay? But it is important to understand that, we have, if I want to book a flight to Delhi, the intent is going to say flight booking. And the entity is going to be Delhi. Okay. Why? We need to understand which is the connection. So we're going to pull a web service or a query, to pull data of flights to Delhi. And then we're going to, there's going to be a lot of behind the scenes how we're going to be managing the information, whether it's we're going to be receiving parameters, we're going to be embedding the user information, we're going to be, so there are multiple things that are going to be part of that interaction. One good tip is that don't ask for everything. Try to avoid asking for multiple things. Try to keep asking for information. Try to consider, right? So if I say I want to book a flight to Delhi, I will automatically show flights for today and the next few days, right? I'm not gonna try to ask, okay, which day? I can ask, but I will suggest, okay, these are the flights. What time do you want to, what day do you want to fly, right? Or what period of time do you want to fly? Now, if I'm a user, I will pull up my location. So I will look for the location of the user to say, okay, what's the from, okay? And that's, I don't have to ask, where are you located? So I will pull that information in, okay? So these are things that, again, all the information that you're going to be using to understand this question, to understand that utterance, okay, and identify different intents and different entities. Now, all this is based out of this natural language processing and the natural language understanding, and again, this is the natural language generation. Um, what is at this point what researchers are investigating? It's the empathy understanding. So that's a difference between digital assistant skills and chatbots, that at this point they cannot have this empathy. Okay, it's very difficult for them, for a chatbot or for a voice, okay, like Siri, to show empathy on based on the question that you are doing or the information that you are searching. Now, on this, the key aspect is the intelligence. Artificial intelligence, it's what is bringing the chatbots and what is bringing digital assistants all the magic that and the magical sauce that will say, okay, this is the match. You are asking this question so that your utterance, we are going to identify the different entities within that. We're going to match that to what you have built on the digital assistant. Okay. Now, in terms of the dialogue flow, it's how it's how you write the code, and what you see there is an example of a digital assistant of a pizza bot that I will show you in a minute and navigate in the system for a minute. But this is the code. So the code is a meta, language, very simple, where you can, play around and add images to the chatbot. That's today, it's very important to add images because it will allow you to, have engagement from the users. Now, in terms of channels, you know, you're gonna be, and as I mentioned, there's many channels you can use, Twilio to connect with SMS. You connect, there are multiple channels that you can have, and you can plug in this digital assistant. On these channels, one of the things that we build are channels to connect with, for example, eBusiness Suite. One of the things that we did is creating a Slack channel connecting eBusiness with eBusiness Suite, digital assistant, Oracle digital assistant, a channel in Slack, and then from Slack you were connecting to the digital assistant and asking for, hey, give me a list of active users. What's the status of an IP, payables invoice? Is it pay? Is it validated? So many things that you can use from your internal, or you can have a dedicated a digital assistant, okay? And how you can get a dedicated digital assistant is through an instant app. Okay, it's a self-consent chain. It's a wizard-like module that enable to have a complete, to complete some tasks. Okay. Now, one last thing before I wrap up and jump into how building and how to navigate in the Oracle Digital Assistant is the Q&A. Okay, and this is this was very highly used now in the pandemic. Because you were able to, act and get this interface, this digital assistant that integrated a Q&A, a questions and answer service, by just uploading in an Excel-like format, uploading the questions and the answers, that pair of this question and this answer. So the digital assistant was able to match the question to the existing ones through artificial intelligence and machine learning, and then plug in the answer to the users. Okay, very cool feature, very cool solution in place that was an easy and fast solution during the pandemic. Now, let me do this chart to show you how digital assistance works. Okay, and you see on the left there are the different channels, right? So you have web, mobile, messenger, even voice, and these are how you're going to be building the channels. Now, this is the Oracle Digital Assistant, and the channels is the way that you connect, okay, with the external world to ask for these utterances. Then you're going to have this intelligent routing, okay? And this intelligence routing is what is going to tell you, okay, you're going to go with the skill of HR, the skill of financials, the skill of COVID. So you're going to be able to route this intelligently to the appropriate skill, okay? And within the skills, you're going to have intent or Q&A, and you're going to be resolving that within that skill. Now, in terms of the skills, what you can do is you can customize that to pull information from any system, okay? And that's what the beauty of, enabling, in this case, applications unlimited, such as eBusiness Suite, enabling them through web services, to pull information from a digital assistant. That, again, digital assistant can be, something internal for internal use, or it can be external for vendors to check what's their payments, to check if they're payable invoice has been entered in the system, or to customers to see what's the current status of their account details. To that's what we what we envision and what we are helping customers to do. If you check these, these are, as I mentioned, it's a couple of examples that we did. One, specifically, this is specifically for your business suite. I'm going to show you, tell you a little bit about a few things like, invoice status, what you see on the screen. We also did another of password reset. So again, doing the password reset from a digital assistant. Then another was, I mentioned briefly about active users. So what we built is for the administrators of a business suite, they were able to, through Slack, ask for active users, and the digital assistant was running a concurrent request, getting the output, and emailing the output to the user. So he was getting the email through this, on an email, he was getting through all the list of users. Why we didn't send it through digital assistants? Because it was big, right? So we wanted to have that different things. Now, one important aspect of this is that any repetitive tasks, okay, that makes you think twice of going to EBS or Cloud SaaS, that's something that you can target for building a digital assistant. Okay, and I show you briefly a sample of HR, but I'm going to show you something different today. Okay, and I'm going to show you here. So again, I'm in Oracle Cloud SaaS, and what you see here is I'm going to say, I'm going to I want to change my laptop. I want to change my laptop. Okay, so again, I said that I want to change the laptop, and automatically the digital assistant, that's the Utterance. So laptop would be the entity, and they say, okay, would you like me to recommend laptops based on your job role? So automatically the digital assistant is understanding who am I, what's my role in the organization based on my job description profile, and I can say yes. Okay, if I say yes, and by just clicking, I can type it or click it, right? Here you see, I recommend, sure, let me get that information for you. Sure, I have three options, and I mentioned about images, right? So I have this image, I have this image, and I say, oh, you know what? I like this one. Okay, can you show me more details? I can say more details. Say, and it's a high performance. Okay. And it asked me if I want more or mother. I say no. You want to, did you make the choice? Yes. Okay. I'm going to go with the Lenovo. Okay. Great choice. You like me to create a requisition for you? Yes. Sure. Let me create a requisition for you. And automatically, Oracle, again, the digital assistant will be building a requisition in the system. Okay. So all the things that typically a user was navigating the system to perform these activities, the a digital assistant guide you with questions with natural language. Okay, I didn't say purchase, or I didn't have a script. I just want to change my laptop, right? So that's the beauty of building and navigating and chatting, right? And that's why Steve Miranda and Gartner and so many others are saying that this is going to be HTML, or screens are going to be the old UI. Now, what is the flow for building and for constructing an Oracle digital assistant? Okay, so we're going to be talking about the intents. We're going to train the skills. We're going to create the entities, all the custom components, how we're going to talk to a business suite or Cloud SaaS. Then that dialogue test the skills and then configure the channels in a few steps. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on utterances. We're going to have a data set, okay? And then with the intents and skills, okay? Now, let me switch gears here and work a little bit, get you to the digital assistant. One important thing though here is that Oracle Digital Assistants has been releasing new versions of the platform. And as you can see here, you can see that there's some I have been playing around, and I have some skills and digital assistants that are either on a new version and an old version. Okay, so it's important that to understand that on these there's an option to upgrade. Okay, and there's a documentation on how to update and how the impact that will be. Okay, now let me go here and open up one skill. Okay, so we can navigate through a skill and make kind of tie all the different terminologies that I presented to you. Okay, so here we see a pizza bot. It's a skill. Okay, I'm gonna move here a little bit. Okay, so we can have see all the skills available. And here, if I click here, we're going to see a navigation. Okay, we're going to have the home. We in the development area. Okay, here in the development area, we have skills, digital assistant, channels, and store. We're going to have the analytics side of things, and then the settings where we're going to be checking about what are the instances that we have and audit trail, etc. Okay, so I'm going to go back to skills. I'm going to go back to this pizza bot. Okay, and I'm gonna get this down so we can see the entire screen. And here in the navigation, we're going to see that we're going to start with the first line of the menu, which are the intents. Okay, and intents, we're going to have these intents: order pasta, order pizza, and show menu. Right now, if I click on this, right, I will click on the intent. Okay, and then on the intent, what you need to do is enter here the utterances. Okay, and the utterances are how the system will learn what you're trying to do. Menu, please, show menu. So you're going to be training the digital assistant on how the users can ask for the particular action that they want. Okay, now on this you're going to see that it's going to be show menu, and here if I go to pizza and say, okay, can I get a pizza? I want a pizza please. Right, now on this, if I move to the right, you're going to see that there's an entity. Okay, there's an intent entity, which is going to say, okay, pizza size. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here, but you see that we're going to move into the second menu. Okay, I'm going to check to pizza size. Okay, which is the entity. Okay, so we're going to go here, and here in the entities, we're going to have the pizza size. Okay, now there are multiple configurations for the entities, and one of them is value list. So I can give a value list, and this is pizza size. It's going to be small, medium, or large, right? And I can continue with disambiguation. I can have prompts and validation rules if I want, but this is how we are going to be setting up and asking in particular for a size or what do we want to ask. Okay, now little bit here I'm going to show you as I mentioned the builder. Okay, and the builder, it has a couple of things here, which is how you are organizing this. Right now, I mentioned about photos, right? So here you have the metadata, context, there's some variables. Okay, and then the main thing is the states, okay? How you're going to be managing the states, and based out of the states, you're going to be managing, the different components. You see here that we are asking for, images, and we're pulling images into this. So that's how you can, code and build the code for that. Okay, there's this component which is quite interesting, which is a conversation designer, where you are actually, in this case, for this particular, it's not working, but you can, through a sample, you're going to be building that conversation. There's a translation conversion, there's a translation, there's a Q&A that I will show you in a minute, and there's some statistics for this particular skill. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly click here on the play. Okay, and what you can do here is start playing around with your bot. Okay, and I'm going to start with I am hungry and see what's happening here. So I'm going to say I'm hungry. Okay, and this is, say, okay, I don't understand, I'm not human, would you like to see the menu? So what's going to happen is we're going to see, percentage on the intent. So the artificial intelligence is trying to get, okay, what's the intent and what you're doing there, right? What do you want to order, a pasta, or do you want to order a pizza? I'm not sure. And I say I want a pizza. Okay, if you remember, uh, we had that, right? And you can see here the intent matches. That's the utterance that we enter for this particular skill. So you see here that we have order pizza, it's 100%. Okay, so automatically it goes and say, okay, here are the pizzas that you can order today. Okay, and that is inside the builder with the images. Okay, we see pizza 1 with cheese, 2 pepperoni, right, 2, 3, and say enter the pizza number of your choice. I'm going to enter 3. Okay, now by entering this pizza, we go with the size, with the pizza size. Okay, and I can say huge here, right, and say no, I don't understand, right? And again, we are going and navigating through these with these skills, right? Now, which location do you want the pizza to be delivered? Send location, right? And I can send location, okay? Your position, right? You will be delivered in 30 minutes to your GPS, okay? Have a nice day. Now, this is how you navigate and how you play with the bot tester, right? Again, we see the JSON, the intent, Q&A, the conversation, and how the flow was worked. We can play here with test cases and test runs, okay? And do a little A/B testing on here to see the different aspects of that. Now, going back and checking the digital assistant and the skill, we see the different things that we are mentioning here, the variables pizza, and we're going to see selecting which one, and then based on, I can say first one, right? uh, the keywords that will be entered, right? And then based out of that, I want to continue. Sorry, I understand, I'm not human. So you can see how you are building and having this skill builder that will drive with, with a little coding, we can do that and tailor that to your needs. Okay, couple of things here. I'm gonna, a little bit going here and show a digital assistant. So you can see opening a digital assistant, what's the difference between. And here, with the digital assistants, you're going to have, all the different skills that are available here, right? And based out of that, there's some, utterances that are going to be doing this disambiguation and routing to the right skill. Okay. Um, and that's a little bit about navigating through the system on this. Uh, In terms of channels, I'm going to quickly show here. There are some user channel, there are agent integrations, there are applications, there are multiple things that you can select and you can play on channels, and I'll show you in a minute, kind of, what are the different ways of doing that. Okay, now one thing that you probably have seen, and I'm going to see here, I'm going to click here, you see here, that's something that it's trained. Okay, let me show you a little bit about here. Sorry. Okay, so here you have two options for two options for intent training. Okay, you have the trainer HT, okay, a linguistic model, and the trainer TM, which uses machine learning, word vectors, and other text features of that. Okay, these are, the TM is intended for English. Okay, now these are the steps of how you build your skill. You're gonna first have to train. Okay, and that's why you saw that if it's already published, it's already trained. So in order to publish, you need to train your skill. Okay, so I want to show you a little bit about that. Now let me switch gears to the type of custom entities that you have. And as I show you there, there's a value list. Okay, it's a list of value. We were giving the value of pizzas. Okay, it's pepperoni, mushrooms, etc., etc. Or you can have a derived, which it's an existing entity preceding or following phrase. There's an entity list based on list of other entities, and then you can play around of regular expression. Okay, now in terms of that, you are gonna have this context, default, transition, and states. Okay, and this is how you are gonna be building your skill. Define the session-wide variables, or how to handle exceptions, how to describe the definition of a flow itself. Okay, so drilling down in the dialog builder, three sections: header, context, and states. And then you're going to be routing through that and receiving inputs, returning both responses, and determining the navigation and how you're going to be navigating through that. Um, Another very important aspect is security integration. So the bot builder has an UI security. And example, if you want to book through Facebook Messenger, you have an inbound call, it's auth, and you have multiple web hooks to have that integration between the channels. Of course, this is something that needs to be tested, needs to be uh, it's something that you will spend good amount of time in terms of how to secure based on your users, based on the when you are accessing corporate information, you're accessing and that's going to become critical. It's not like you're purchasing something, right? But you have to identify and work on that. A couple of things about translation, because it's very important. There are multiple ways of work with translation. As you can see there, it's how old are you? That's the question, and then you can place and get your own language and say, okay, in Portuguese, in Spanish, and so forth. And you can also use APIs, or Google Translate for as an API. Then we with the setups, you see that we're talking about the training model, we're talking about enable login and the translation services if you want to use a specific translation service such as an API. Now, in terms of channels, there are these four channels: users, agent, integration, systems, and application, which is very cool, very important. Creating user interface in channels, or configuring or Oracle, Service Cloud to connect. There is a very cool feature of handoff where you enter with your, the chatbots, the digital assistant starts automatically, and then it provides a handoff to a real person, providing all the information. And then, as I mentioned, there are a couple of things that you can do automatically and build that automatically. This is a little sample of intelligent chatbots, an example that I did through Facebook Messenger. Here's a example of what I did here on Facebook Messenger. The different setups that you need to do. You go to created a channel, and you add the page token, app secret, verify token, the webhook URL, and you are connecting. Of course, in order to do that, you go to on the other hand, you go to Facebook, development, and you create that. And the same will apply to Microsoft Teams or others. Now, in terms of questions and answers, very simple. You go to questions and answer, and you just import. In an Excel format, you import a file. You enter a CSV file, and that CSV file has some columns, and the columns will be the questions and the answer. So the digital assistant will try to match the question based on what they input from the user, and then provide an answer to that, just with the same percentage of matches based on the trainer model that I was showing. When talking about the custom component service architecture, we see this, right? We have the component SDK that's going to be invoking and talking about the in terms of REST. That's a little bit about how your skill bot will be getting post and gets from the service architecture. In terms of analytics, well, why it's important analytics? It's because you're going to see which channel it's being used, most used, what are the common questions, what are the how is your skill performing, and that's very important in order to continuously improve your digital assistants. Some considerations. So again, just to wrap up this presentation, we have the clients, which we have the Oracle Digital Assistant, and then we have the backend, whether it's a cloud or on-prem, web enable, web service enable, communication that we want to do to get the enterprise data. Okay, that's the chart, overall chart. Now, based on our experience, it's very important to start narrow. Okay, start narrow, but go deep, ambitious, right? So if I want to do a payables digital assistant or skill, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and cover just payables, just for vendor transactions. I'm going to go deep, like I'm going to take all the transactions and payables transactions, including invoices, payments, holds, etc., etc. We go all the way. We just focus on narrow, but go deep. The other aspect important is and critical is being iterative. Okay, listen to users, test. Sometimes you will focus on something that you will model, beautiful model of a digital assistant, and then later on the users are going to be changing that, right? So that's critical to test and test, understanding your user. That's the analytics part of things. It's important because you're going to learn how they're using, you're going to learn what are the utterances that they're interacting with. And last but not least, this is the beginning of the journey. This is just how you're getting started. It's not that you finish a digital assistant and okay, I'm done, right? This is a continuous evolution, and this is beginning of the journey. This continue improvement, ways of how to interact. The users will interact, adding new features, adding, extending. So this is just the beginning of the journey, and I highly recommend you that you have a plan in place for that. What's the evolution of your internal digital assistant? Why Oracle? Why Oracle? Why Oracle? I think we talked that mobile, um, the ability to have multiple channels, the ability to build um, your own code, to build your own methods, whether it's through a digital assistant and through skills, the ability to have a skill store, the ability to have this interaction with the Oracle Cloud infrastructure, and the ability to create an ongoing what's the investment that Oracle is doing on this. Um, we have seen many good experiences of Oracle with implementations, and we highly recommend taking a journey and taking a step and a trial on digital assistants, so you can start building very simple with a few steps solutions for your organization. I hope this was useful for you. I look forward visiting you next year, and be safe. Thank you very much for invitation to the APAC community, and look forward visiting to you soon. Thank you very much. Bye bye.